Welcome to long-form content of Tech Bytes and News. This is a compilation on latest news and articles featured on Hacker News. You can find the original links of articles in the description. Please like and subscribe to support future content. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into SLAP and FLOP, two groundbreaking side-channel attacks on Apple Silicon. It's wild stuff.
Yeah, I've been reading about this. It sounds incredibly sophisticated. So what exactly are SLAP and FLOP? I'm still trying to wrap my head around the technical details.
Essentially, they exploit vulnerabilities in Apple's M1, M2, and M3 chips. SLAP, or Speculative Load Address Prediction, and FLOP, or Speculative Load Value Prediction, both leverage the CPU's predictive capabilities to leak sensitive data from web pages. Think of it like this. The CPU is trying to be super efficient, predicting what data you'll need before you even ask for it. These attacks trick the CPU into revealing data it shouldn't.
So it's a prediction error that's being exploited? Clever.
Exactly. They use these prediction mechanisms, load address prediction and load value prediction, to access data from other web pages running in the same process. The researchers showed they could leak data from Proton Mail, even reading the subject lines of emails, just by having a malicious web page open alongside the legitimate one. Incredible.
And this works even with sandboxed environments? That's a major security flaw.
Precisely. The attacks bypass the usual browser security measures designed to isolate web pages from each other. They even demonstrated reading the first paragraph of The Great Gatsby and Harry Potter from memory locations that weren't directly accessed by the program. Mind-blowing.
Wow. So what makes these attacks so dangerous? Is it just the ability to steal data from web pages?
It's the potential scope. The researchers showed it could leak anything from location history to credit card information. And because these are microarchitecture-based attacks, they leave no traces in system logs, making detection extremely difficult. Scary.
I see. So what about mitigation? Is there anything users can do?
Apple is aware and working on patches. The best course of action is to keep your software updated. But the core issue is in the hardware itself, so a complete fix might require more than just software updates. It's a complex problem.
Right, and it affects a wide range of Apple devices, from Macs and iPads to iPhones. Concerning.
Absolutely. The researchers, by the way, are from Georgia Tech and Ruhr University Bochum. A truly impressive team. They've done a fantastic job detailing these vulnerabilities and responsibly disclosing them to Apple. Amazing work!
It's fascinating, but also unsettling. This highlights the ongoing arms race between security researchers and those who seek to exploit vulnerabilities. It's a constant battle.
Indeed. And it underscores the importance of ongoing research into hardware security. We need to stay ahead of these kinds of attacks. It's crucial. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion insightful. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into NASA's Sentry system, a crucial tool for monitoring potential Earth impacts. It's, pretty intense stuff.
I'm eager to hear about this. Sentry sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie. What exactly does it do? Is it constantly scanning the skies?
Exactly. Sentry is NASA's automated impact monitoring system. It continuously analyzes asteroid orbits, calculating the probability of future Earth impacts. It's not just scanning, it's crunching massive amounts of data to predict potential hazards, you know? It's a complex process.
So it's not just about spotting asteroids. It's about predicting their paths and the likelihood of them hitting us? That's incredible.
Precisely. And the results are presented using two scales, the Palermo scale and the Torino scale. The Palermo scale gives a numerical rating of the risk, while the Torino scale is a more simplified, color-coded system for easier understanding. Think of it as a risk assessment, but for planet-killing space rocks.
I see. So a higher Palermo scale value means a greater risk, right? And what about the different parameters they use, like sigma 6i, sigma MC, and the impact probability? Those sound pretty technical.
You got it. A higher Palermo scale value indicates a greater risk. Those other parameters you mentioned are crucial for assessing the uncertainty in the calculations. Sigma VI and sigma MC represent how well the asteroid's orbit fits the observational data. The lower the value, the more confident we are in the prediction. The impact probability, of course, is the chance of an actual collision.
Okay, that makes sense. But how does Sentry handle the uncertainty inherent in these calculations? I mean, asteroids are constantly being nudged by gravitational forces, right? And friends. It must be a challenge to maintain accuracy.
That's a great point. The uncertainty is a major challenge. Sentry accounts for this by considering a range of possible orbits, not just a single, precise path. It essentially creates a probability distribution of potential impact locations and times. The system is constantly updated with new observations, refining the calculations over time.
So it's a dynamic system, constantly adapting to new data. That's reassuring, in a way. But what happens if Sentry identifies a significant risk? Is there a protocol for dealing with such a scenario?
That's where the planetary defense aspect comes in. While Sentry focuses on detection and risk assessment, other NASA programs are dedicated to developing and implementing deflection strategies. It's a multifaceted approach to protecting Earth. It's a complex issue, and there's a lot of ongoing research and development in this area.
It's fascinating to think about the technology and the international cooperation required to address such a potentially catastrophic event. It's a testament to human ingenuity and our collective desire for survival. Thanks for explaining Sentry to us.
My pleasure. It's crucial to understand the work being done to protect our planet. And remember, folks, keep looking up. And join us next time on Tech Bytes and News for more fascinating insights into the world of technology and science. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into Preserves, a fascinating new data language. It's designed to be a real game changer, offering a syntax-neutral data model with multiple serialization formats. Think JSON, but way more versatile.
Wow, that sounds impressive. So what makes Preserves stand out from existing data formats like JSON or XML? Is it just another flavor of the same thing, or is there something truly innovative here?
That's a great question. The core innovation is its syntax-neutral data model. This means you can seamlessly convert between different syntaxes, textual, binary, you name it, without losing any information. Think of it like having a universal translator for data.
A universal translator for data. I like that. So how does this syntax neutrality actually work? Is it magic, or is there some clever underlying mechanism?
No magic, just brilliant engineering. The key is that Preserves defines a common underlying data model and semantics, which all the different syntaxes adhere to. This ensures perfect fidelity during conversions. It's all about separating the structure from the representation.
I see. So it's like having a blueprint for the data, and then different ways to write that blueprint down. That's elegant. But what about practical implementations? Or can developers actually use Preserves?
Excellent point. Preserves boasts implementations in a wide range of languages. Python, Rust, JavaScript, even Nim and Racket. There are also tools for schema definition and querying, making it a robust and versatile solution. Plus, there's a really helpful tutorial and a cheat sheet to get you started.
That's quite a diverse set of implementations. It speaks to the language's flexibility. But what about the binary syntax? How efficient is it compared to something like CBOR?
That's a very insightful question. The binary syntax is designed for efficiency, and while direct comparisons to CBOR require benchmarking, the focus on a canonical form suggests it should be highly competitive. The documentation even includes a section on the canonical form for the binary syntax, which is a key aspect of its design.
Right, the canonical form. That ensures consistency, which is crucial for interoperability. And what about the community aspect? Is there active development and support?
Absolutely. The project is actively maintained, with a GitLab repository hosting the code, documentation, and an issue tracker for community contributions and support. There's even a dedicated section on open questions and a detailed change history, showing a commitment to transparency and ongoing improvement.
That's reassuring. It sounds like Preserves is a well-thought-out and actively developed project. One last question. Why not just stick with JSON? What's the compelling reason to adopt Preserves?
The million-dollar question. The website directly addresses this. Essentially, Preserves offers superior extensibility, better support for complex data structures, and that crucial syntax neutrality for seamless interoperability. JSON is great for simple data, but Preserves is built for more complex scenarios.
Makes perfect sense. Thanks for shedding light on Preserves. It's definitely a project worth keeping an eye on.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion on Preserves insightful and engaging. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a fascinating solution for real-time analytics using DuckDB and Apache Aeroflight. It's all about overcoming DuckDB's limitations for streaming data. Exciting stuff.
I'm eager to hear this. DuckDB is great for single-user analytics, but I've always wondered how it handles the demands of a real-world, high-volume data stream. That's the core problem we're addressing.
Precisely. DuckDB, while powerful, has two major limitations. It doesn't support concurrent writers, and you can't read while another process is writing. This is a huge bottleneck for streaming data. Think of it like a single-lane highway. Only one car can go through at a time. Inefficient.
So how does this DuckTakes solution solve that? Is it some kind of complex distributed system?
Not at all. The elegance is in its simplicity. They use Apache Aeroflight. It's a lightweight, RPC-based framework for transferring data. The solution is a mere 200 lines of Python code. Amazing, right?
200 lines? That's incredibly concise. Can you elaborate on how Aeroflight fits into this?
Absolutely. They built a flight server that acts as a bridge. This server receives data and queries. The dogit method handles queries, fetching data from DuckDB and streaming it as arrow tables. The dopute method handles incoming data, inserting it into DuckDB efficiently. It's a clever use of Arrow's columnar format for speed.
So multiple processes can write data concurrently to the flight server, which then handles the interaction with DuckDB? That's bypassing DuckDB's limitations cleverly.
Exactly. The loaddata.py script generates random data and sends it to the server. You can run multiple instances simultaneously, feeding data in parallel. The querydata.py script lets you query the data while it's being loaded. It's truly remarkable.
And all this with just DuckDB and Pyaro as dependencies? No complex cluster management? That's a huge win for simplicity and ease of deployment.
Precisely. No Kafka, no Spark, no Kubernetes. Just pure elegance. The article even provides a simple pip install command and 3 Python scripts to get you up and running. It's incredibly accessible.
This is a fantastic example of leveraging existing tools in a creative way to solve a real-world problem. It highlights the power of combining different technologies effectively. I'm particularly impressed by the simplicity and efficiency of the solution.
I agree. It's a testament to the power of well-designed APIs and the elegance of a well-structured solution. It's a great example of how a small, focused piece of code can solve a significant problem. And, it's a great example of how to think outside the box when dealing with limitations of existing tools.
I'm definitely going to check out the GitHub repo. This is a fantastic resource for anyone working with streaming data and DuckDB. Thanks for highlighting this. It's a game changer for near real-time analytics.
My pleasure. And for those listening, remember to check out the Definite blog for more insights into building efficient data pipelines. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into why someone would still choose Sublime Text in 2025, even with the plethora of modern editors available. It's a fascinating look at a long-standing tool that's surprisingly still relevant. Let's get started.
I'm intrigued. So many new code editors have emerged, boasting AI features and flashy interfaces. What makes Sublime Text stand out, or even hold its own in 2025?
Well, the author of this article, a 15-year Sublime user, points to several key factors. First, and perhaps most importantly, speed. Sublime is incredibly fast. It launches instantly, uses minimal resources, handles large files with ease, and rarely crashes. It's a straightforward, no-nonsense approach to code editing.
Speed is definitely a big plus, especially when dealing with large projects. But what about features? Modern editors often pack in a ton of functionality.
Absolutely. Sublime's strength lies in its core features and its extensibility. It has excellent support for Language Server Protocol, LSP, allowing for features like intelligent code completion and hover information, comparable to what you'd find in Fiverr's code. But what's really interesting is Sublime's implementation of LSP. It allows multiple servers per file, detection at a scope level, and highly extensible configuration, even supporting LSP servers installed as binaries. It's incredibly flexible.
That's impressive. So it's not just about speed, but also about the power and customization of its features. What about other aspects, like snippets?
Sublime's snippet system is another highlight. It's scope-based, meaning you can target snippets to specific parts of your code, making them incredibly precise. It supports tab stops with nesting, placeholders, and even transformations, allowing for complex code generation. The author even shows examples of sophisticated view component snippets with transformations for case conversion. It's a powerful system.
Wow, that sounds advanced. And what about project management? How does Sublime handle that?
Sublime uses project workspaces, managed through simple JSON files. These files allow you to configure settings, include/exclude files and folders, define build systems, and even tweak LSP settings on a per-project basis, all without needing additional plugins. The author contrasts this with other editors, where similar functionality often requires plugins, highlighting Sublime's built-in capabilities. It's all very streamlined.
That's a compelling argument for simplicity and efficiency. But what about build systems? Are they as robust?
Sublime's build systems are straightforward JSON files, easily customizable and extensible. They can call global commands, local dependencies, or commands from other tools. Plugins can also provide build systems, further enhancing flexibility. The author provides examples of build systems for linters and code analysis tools, showcasing their simplicity and power. It's all very intuitive.
So it seems Sublime excels in core functionality and customization. But what about some of the other features mentioned, like multiple cursors and key bindings?
Sublime has robust multiple cursor support, a standard feature in modern editors. Its key bindings are highly customizable and support contextual bindings, allowing for powerful shortcuts based on the current context. The author highlights the JavaScript language support package as an example of effective contextual key bindings. It's all very well integrated.
So it's a well-rounded editor. Are there any downsides or areas for improvement?
The author mentions a few things on their wish list. Better documentation for plugin development would be helpful, and improving the plugin development experience with things like starter templates would be beneficial. Also, the process of adding plugins to the package control site could be streamlined. Finally, having per-project key bindings would be a nice addition. But overall, these are minor points.
It sounds like Sublime Text, despite its age, remains a strong contender in the code editor landscape. Its speed, customization options, and well-integrated features make it a compelling choice for many developers. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
You're welcome. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into InfraCost, a company tackling the massive, often overlooked, problem of cloud cost management. Over $600 billion will be spent on cloud services this year. And, get this, engineers often lack a simple checkout screen to see the cost implications of their code.
That's a huge number. So how does InfraCost solve this? It sounds like a pretty significant challenge.
Exactly. InfraCost shifts the focus to proactive FinOps. Instead of reacting to unexpected bills, it integrates directly into the engineering workflow. Think CI/CD pipelines. It analyzes infrastructure as code, IAC, changes before they hit production, identifying potential cost overruns early on. Think of it as a pre-flight check for your cloud spending.
Brilliant. So it's essentially preventing costly mistakes before they even happen? That's a huge advantage for any company using cloud services.
Absolutely. It doesn't stop there. It also enforces tagging policies, ensuring resources are properly labeled for better cost tracking and accountability. Plus, It runs checks against FinOps policy packs, making sure best practices are followed, like using GP3 volumes instead of GP2, for example. It's all about optimization and efficiency.
Wow, that's comprehensive. So what's the company culture like? The article mentions they're a small, well-funded team.
Yeah, they're a 10-person team backed by Y Combinator and Sequoia Capital, operating across Europe and the US. The company culture seems really focused on collaboration and transparency. They emphasize open communication, sharing both successes and failures, and a let's just effing do it mentality. They even have recurring employee meetups. Their REM in Portugal sounds amazing.
That's awesome. The emphasis on open communication and a fast-paced, results-oriented approach is definitely attractive. What about the technical side? What kind of skills are they looking for?
They're looking for strong experience with statically typed languages, particularly Golang, since that's used for their core parsing functionality. Now, knowledge of Node.js and TypeScript is also crucial for their APIs. They need engineers who can handle complex systems, integration challenges, and performance scaling issues. Familiarity with Terraform, Kubernetes, and AWS is a plus, given their customer base and internal infrastructure.
It sounds like they're tackling some really interesting technical challenges. The examples they gave, refactoring their Terraform evaluator, handling massive monorepos, scaling APIs to support thousands of organizations, those are all impressive feats.
Indeed. And the benefits package is pretty competitive too. Remote work, comprehensive health insurance, generous vacation time, and parental leave. They also have a unique approach to customer relationships, viewing them as partners rather than just clients. They really seem to prioritize building strong relationships and community.
That's a refreshing perspective. It sounds like InfraCost is a company that's not only solving a significant problem in the cloud cost management space, but also building a strong and supportive team culture. It's definitely a company to watch.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion insightful. Remember to check out the InfraCost website for more information. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating letter to the editor regarding the realities of nuclear fusion energy. It's a topic generating a lot of buzz, but this letter provides a much-needed dose of realism. Let's get started.
Absolutely. The hype around fusion power is intense. What are the key concerns raised in this letter?
The author, Luca Garzotti, challenges the overly optimistic claims surrounding fusion's imminent commercial viability. He points out 5 major hurdles, each potentially a deal breaker. First, sustaining a burning plasma for extended periods, hours, ideally, with a Q value of 40, without disruptions, is crucial. Current projects, like ITER, aim for much shorter durations and lower Q values. It's a huge leap.
So even achieving the ITER goals isn't enough? That's a pretty significant statement. What are the other challenges?
Exactly. Then there's the issue of heat management. Handling the intense heat from the plasma and protecting the reactor walls is a massive engineering problem. Third, tritium breeding. We need to produce more tritium fuel than we consume, and that's not a given. Tritium isn't exactly abundant in nature.
Right, I see. So it's not just about generating fusion, it's about sustaining a self-sufficient process. What about the materials science aspect?
That's another huge one. The materials used must withstand intense neutron bombardment without degrading or becoming excessively radioactive. We're talking about extreme conditions, and finding suitable materials is a major research area. Finally, reliable operation and remote maintenance are essential for a commercially viable power plant. Downtime for repairs would be incredibly costly.
So all 5 of these challenges need to be overcome before we can even think about widespread fusion power? That sounds daunting, to say the least. It seems the grasping distance claim is a bit premature, wouldn't you say?
I agree. Garzotti's letter is a valuable counterpoint to the hype. He emphasizes the need for continued research, but with humility and a realistic assessment of the challenges. Overly optimistic statements can undermine the credibility of the field and potentially hinder funding. It's a call for responsible communication about this incredibly complex technology.
Absolutely. It's important to celebrate progress, but also to acknowledge the significant hurdles that remain. It's a long-term project, and managing expectations is key. Thanks for highlighting this important perspective.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bites and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you tomorrow with more insightful discussions. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bites and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating economic paradox, the Jevons paradox. It's a bit counterintuitive, so buckle up.
I'm ready. So what's the gist of this Jevons paradox? Is it something about resource efficiency backfiring?
Exactly. It's all about how increased efficiency in using a resource doesn't necessarily lead to less consumption, but often the opposite. Think about it. If something becomes cheaper and easier to use, we tend to use more of it, right?
Makes sense. Like, if my car gets better gas mileage, I might drive more, negating some of the fuel savings. But is that the whole story?
Not quite. Jevons, back in 1865, noticed this with coal and steam engines. Watt's improvements made coal more efficient, but coal consumption soared because it became cheaper to power industries. It wasn't just about individual usage changes.
So it's a broader economic effect? Like increased efficiency lowers the price, boosting demand, and that increased demand outweighs the efficiency gains?
Precisely. There's a rebound effect, where the increased demand more than offsets the efficiency improvements. And it's not just about the direct effect. Increased efficiency often boosts economic growth, further increasing overall resource demand.
Whoa, that's a significant point. So the Jevons paradox isn't just about individual behavior, but also about macroeconomic effects. This is more complex than I initially thought.
Absolutely. The Kazum-Brooks postulate expands on this, arguing that efficiency improvements lead to increased energy consumption through both direct and indirect effects. It's a complex interplay of micro and macroeconomics.
So does this mean efforts to improve energy efficiency are pointless? That seems like a pretty bleak conclusion.
Not necessarily. While the paradox highlights a potential pitfall, it doesn't invalidate efficiency improvements. Higher efficiency can still lead to benefits, like cheaper goods and services. The key is to couple efficiency gains with policies that manage demand.
Like what kind of policies?
Things like carbon taxes, cap-and-trade systems, or stricter emission standards. These policies can offset the rebound effect by keeping the cost of resource use from dropping too much. It's about a balanced approach.
I see. It's not about abandoning efficiency, but about managing its consequences. Interesting. So the Jevons paradox applies beyond just energy, right?
Absolutely. The article mentions examples in agriculture, with increased crop yields leading to more land being used for farming. Even energy-efficient lighting can fall prey to this. People might just use more lights. It's a widespread phenomenon.
And even in AI, with DeepSeek's efficient AI model potentially leading to increased overall energy consumption due to wider adoption, it's a truly pervasive issue.
Exactly. The Jevons paradox is a crucial reminder that technological progress alone isn't a silver bullet for resource sustainability. We need smart policies to complement those advancements. It's a complex challenge, but understanding the paradox is the first step towards addressing it.
Definitely. Thanks for breaking this down. It's a lot to unpack, but incredibly insightful.
You're welcome. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bites and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bites and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating YouTube short, a truly inspiring story about Diana Cowan, the physics girl. It's a powerful testament to resilience.
I'm eager to hear this. So, what's the core message of this YouTube short? I'm particularly interested in the technical aspects, if any.
Absolutely. The short showcases Diana, a well-known science communicator, standing for the first time in 2 years. It's incredibly emotional. She's been battling ME/CFS and long COVID, and this video captures a monumental moment in her recovery journey.
Wow, that's powerful. 2 years is a long time to be unable to stand. The video itself, is it primarily visual or does it have a strong narrative element?
It's primarily visual, a short, impactful clip of Diana standing. The emotional weight comes from the context provided in the description. The description details her struggle with ME/CFS and long COVID, highlighting the significance of this achievement. It's a simple yet profoundly moving video.
I see. So the technical aspect is less about video production and more about the impact of a simple, emotionally resonant visual? That's a clever approach.
Exactly. The technical brilliance lies in its simplicity and emotional impact. The video's brevity and focus on the core moment amplify the emotional response. It's a masterclass in less is more storytelling. It's incredibly effective.
It's interesting how such a short video can be so impactful. The description also mentions the support she receives, right? Is there a call to action?
Yes, absolutely. The description includes links to her Patreon, encouraging viewers to support her work. It's a subtle but effective way to integrate support without being overly intrusive. It's a smart way to balance emotional impact with practical support.
It's a really thoughtful approach. It leverages the emotional connection created by the video to encourage support for her ongoing work. A very effective strategy. What about the comments section? Did you look at that?
Oh yes. The comments section is flooded with messages of support and well wishes. It's a testament to the power of her connection with her audience. It's heartwarming to see such a positive response. It really underscores the human element of her work and the impact she has on others.
It's amazing how a simple video can create such a strong community response. It's a powerful example of the reach of YouTube and the impact of authentic storytelling. This short video is more than just a video. It's a story of perseverance and the power of community support.
Precisely. It's a beautiful example of how powerful a simple, well-executed video can be. It's truly inspiring. And that's it for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for joining us. We hope you found this discussion insightful. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating article on composable SQL, a proposal to revolutionize how we write and test SQL queries. It's all about tackling the major pain points of traditional SQL, especially when it comes to testing and managing business logic. Exciting stuff!
I'm eager to hear this. SQL testing has always been a huge challenge. What are the core issues the article highlights?
Exactly. The article starts by pointing out the near impossibility of effectively testing SQL queries. Even the simplest query requires setting up a massive, often irrelevant, dataset. Imagine testing a query that pulls a book title. You need to populate every single column in the books table, even if those columns are completely unrelated to the query's output. It's a combinatorial explosion of test data.
That's a really good point. It makes testing incredibly cumbersome and inefficient. What about business logic? How does that factor into the problem?
Right. The article argues that in normalized databases, a lot of business logic lives within read-time queries. Things like calculating a pallet's payload weight in a logistics system. That's business logic embedded in SQL. The author explores three common approaches: duplication, denormalization, and views. Each has significant drawbacks.
And what are those drawbacks? I'm guessing duplication leads to maintenance nightmares?
Precisely. Duplication means you're rewriting the same business logic in multiple queries. A change in the logic requires updating every single instance, leading to inconsistencies and errors. Denormalization, while improving query speed, introduces complex data integrity issues and increases storage costs. Views, while seemingly elegant, often suffer from poor query optimization, defeating the purpose of using them.
So the author proposes a solution. What's the core idea behind composable SQL?
The proposed solution is the introduction of functors, composable query fragments with statically typed interfaces. Think of them as functions for SQL. They allow you to define reusable, testable pieces of business logic that can be combined and used in various queries. This addresses the testability problem because functors operate on interfaces, not concrete tables, allowing for much smaller, more focused test datasets.
That sounds elegant. How does it improve testability specifically?
Instead of needing the entire database populated, you can create small, fake tables that satisfy the interface required by the functor. You test the logic in isolation, without the overhead of a massive test database. The article even suggests using table literals in Postgres for even more streamlined testing.
Interesting. So functors essentially abstract away the underlying data structure, allowing for modularity and reusability. But how does this handle the performance issues associated with views?
That's a great question. The author acknowledges that simply nesting functors might still lead to suboptimal query plans. However, the solution is to filter data before passing it to the functor, using CTEs. This ensures that the functor operates on a smaller, already filtered dataset, leading to better performance. It's about controlling the data flow to optimize query execution.
So it's not just about modularity, but also about strategic data filtering to improve performance. This sounds like a significant improvement over the current state of SQL.
Absolutely. The article concludes that functors offer a path towards writing SQL that's fast, testable, and understandable through local reasoning. It's a compelling vision for the future of SQL development. The author even discusses potential implementation strategies, highlighting the challenges but also the potential rewards of this approach. It's a really thought-provoking piece.
It certainly is. This approach seems to address many long-standing issues in SQL development. Thanks for summarizing this insightful article.
My pleasure. And thank you for listening to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of composable SQL. Join us next time for more exciting discussions on the latest tech trends. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating case study of a sophisticated phishing attack. It's a real-world example of how advanced these attacks are becoming. The level of preparation shown here is truly alarming.
Right, I'm eager to hear about this. From what I understand, it wasn't just your typical phishing attempt, right? It involved something beyond the usual compromised accounts and mass emails?
Exactly. This wasn't your garden variety phishing scam. The attacker, incredibly, used a stolen password to gain access to a local VPN, then used that VPN to send spam through an internal SMTP gateway. It's a multi-stage attack, showing a level of planning and technical skill that's quite unnerving.
So, they got the password, then used it to get VPN access? That's clever. But how did they know about the VPN in the first place? Did they just stumble upon it?
Oh no, that's the chilling part. The attacker clearly knew about our VPN service, its purpose, and how it interacted with our internal SMTP gateway. They didn't just stumble upon it. They had done their homework. They knew exactly what to do and where to go. It suggests prior reconnaissance.
That's incredibly concerning. It implies a level of pre-attack planning that we haven't really seen before, right? It's not just brute-forcing passwords anymore.
Precisely. This wasn't a random attack. This was targeted. The attacker knew our infrastructure, and they exploited a weakness we hadn't even considered. The fact that VPN passwords weren't reset when main passwords were changed.
So the attacker used the stolen password to register for the VPN, got a VPN password, and then used that to send spam through the internal SMTP gateway. It's a pretty sophisticated chain of events. What's the takeaway here?
The takeaway is that we need to rethink our security posture. We need to consider more robust security measures, like resetting VPN passwords alongside main password changes. We also need to be more aware of the possibility of attackers gaining persistent access through methods beyond just webmail and authenticated SMTP. This attack highlights the need for more comprehensive security audits and a more proactive approach to threat detection.
Absolutely. It also highlights the importance of regular security awareness training for users. Catching phishing attempts early is crucial. But this goes beyond that. It's about understanding the attacker's methodology.
You're right. This attack wasn't just about catching a phishing email. It was about understanding the attacker's ability to chain together different attack vectors. They were incredibly well prepared, and that's a game changer. We need to be prepared for this level of sophistication.
It's a wake-up call for sure. This isn't just about patching vulnerabilities. It's about anticipating how attackers might combine different techniques. It's about thinking like an attacker.
Precisely. And that's why this case study is so important. It shows us that we need to be more proactive, more vigilant, and more prepared for increasingly sophisticated attacks. We need to anticipate these multi-stage attacks and build our defenses accordingly. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this discussion insightful. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a truly exciting discovery, a super-Earth in the habitable zone of a sun-like star. Pretty amazing, right?
Absolutely. A super-Earth in the habitable zone. That's huge. So, what's the story here? What makes this discovery so significant?
Well, the Instituto de Astrofísica de Canarias, IAC, and the Universidad de La Laguna, ULL, confirmed the find. It's orbiting HD 20,794, a sun-like star just 20 light-years away. That's practically our cosmic neighbor.
20 light-years? That's incredibly close in astronomical terms. And what's a super-Earth, exactly? Is it like a really big Earth?
Exactly. It's a planet with a mass significantly larger than Earth's. In this case, about 6 times the mass. It's not necessarily bigger in terms of radius, but it's definitely more massive. Think of it as a denser, heavier version of our planet.
I see. And the habitable zone part, that's the key, right? That means it could potentially have liquid water?
Precisely. Its orbit places it within the star's habitable zone, the region where liquid water could exist on the surface. Liquid water is, of course, crucial for life as we know it. This makes it a prime candidate for future atmospheric studies.
So how did they even find this thing? It's not like they just looked through a telescope and saw it, right?
Right. They used radial velocity measurements over 2 decades, using incredibly precise spectrographs like espresso and HARPS at ESO observatories in Chile. These instruments detect tiny wobbles in the star's movement caused by the planet's gravity. It's incredibly delicate work.
Wow, that's some serious precision. 2 decades of data. So they just confirmed it recently?
Yes, they confirmed it, after years of meticulous data analysis, eliminating potential sources of error. They even launched a new observation campaign to double-check their findings. It's a testament to their rigorous scientific approach.
That's impressive. But, even if it's in the habitable zone, does that automatically mean there's life there?
Not at all. It's way too early to say anything about life. The planet's high mass and elliptical orbit are quite different from Earth's. Its distance from the star varies significantly throughout its year. It's not a second Earth, not at all.
So what's the next step? What are they going to do now that they've confirmed its existence?
This is where it gets really exciting. Its proximity and characteristics make it a perfect target for future observations with the Extremely Large Telescope, ELT, and future space missions from ESA and NASA. They'll be able to study its atmosphere in unprecedented detail.
Amazing! This is a huge step forward in our search for potentially habitable planets. It's a fantastic discovery. Thanks for breaking it down for us.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening. And we'll catch you next time with more exciting updates from the world of science and technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving deep into OAuth 2, a protocol that's quietly powering much of the internet's authentication. It's surprisingly complex, but incredibly useful.
I've used OAuth 2 countless times, logging into sites with my Google account, connecting apps to my GitHub, but I've never really understood the how or the why. Let's unpack this.
Exactly. The beauty of OAuth 2 is its simplicity for the user. You just click a button. But under the hood, it's a sophisticated dance between several key players. Think of it like this. You, the resource owner, have valuable data, your GitHub repos, for example. You don't want to give every app direct access to your password, so OAuth 2 acts as a secure intermediary.
So we have the resource owner, the user, the resource server, like GitHub, and what else?
Right, we also have the authorization server, which is like the bouncer, and the client application, the app requesting access. The authorization server issues access tokens, temporary credentials that let the client application access specific parts of the resource server on your behalf, without ever seeing your actual password. Clever, huh?
I see. Interesting. But before OAuth 2, how did things work? What were the alternatives?
Well, the old way was often sharing your actual credentials directly with the app. Think about the security nightmare that creates. Now, no access control, no easy way to revoke access, and a huge security risk if the app gets compromised. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, that sounds terrifying. So Auth 2 solves those problems by introducing these access tokens. But there are different ways to get those tokens, right? Different flows?
Absolutely. The most secure is the authorization code flow, especially with PKCE, Proof Key for Code Exchange. It's a 2-step process. The app redirects you to the authorization server, you grant permission, And then the app exchanges a code for an access token. PKCE adds an extra layer of security for public clients, preventing code interception.
Okay, got it. And what about the implicit flow? I've heard that one is less secure.
The implicit flow is simpler but less secure. It sends the access token directly in the redirect URL, making it vulnerable to interception. It's generally not recommended, especially for confidential applications. It's mostly used for public clients that can't securely store secrets, like JavaScript apps running in a browser.
So a trade-off between simplicity and security. What about other flows, like the client credentials flow?
The client credentials flow is for when an application needs to access resources on its own behalf, not on behalf of a user. Think server-to-server communication. No user interaction is needed. It's straightforward, but only suitable for trusted applications.
And what about the resource owner password credentials flow? That sounds risky.
It is. It's generally discouraged. The app directly receives the user's credentials, which is a huge security risk. Only use it if you absolutely have to, and understand the implications. It's a last resort, really.
Ah, I see. So the key takeaway is to choose the right flow based on the security needs and the type of application. And always prioritize security.
Precisely. And don't forget about refresh tokens. They allow the app to get new access tokens without requiring the user to re-authenticate, extending the lifespan of the session while keeping individual access tokens short-lived for enhanced security. It's a whole ecosystem of security measures working together.
This has been incredibly enlightening. I finally understand OAuth 2 a bit better. Thanks for breaking it down so clearly.
My pleasure. And remember, listeners, if you want to delve even deeper, check out the resources linked in the show notes. Until next time, this is Tech Bytes and News, signing off. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a really exciting project, Malamite, an iOS and macOS decompiler. It's got over 1.1k stars on GitHub, which is pretty impressive, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. 1,100 stars speaks volumes about its potential impact on the reverse engineering community. What makes Malamite stand out from other decompilers?
Well, it's built on top of Ghidra, a powerful decompiler already, but Malamite adds crucial direct support for Swift and Objective-C, which are, essential for iOS and macOS app analysis. Plus, it automatically decodes iOS resources, which is a huge time saver.
That's a significant advantage. Many decompilers struggle with those aspects. So, it handles IPA files and application bundles directly? No need for extra pre-processing?
Exactly. It's designed for ease of use. It even cleverly avoids decompiling unnecessary library code, focusing on the application's core logic. And, get this, it reconstructs Swift classes, which is a major feat.
Impressive. I'm particularly interested in the built-in LLM method translation feature. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, that's a pretty cool addition. It leverages the power of large language models to help translate the decompiled code, making it easier to understand. It's still early days, but it has the potential to significantly improve the analysis process.
I see. But wouldn't relying on LLMs introduce potential inaccuracies in the translation? Isn't there a risk of misinterpretations?
That's a valid concern. Absolutely. While LLMs are powerful, they are not perfect. The accuracy of the translation will depend heavily on the quality of the LLM and the complexity of the code. It's definitely something to keep in mind when using this feature. It's more of a helpful aid than a guaranteed perfect translation.
Got it. So how does one get started with Malamite? Is it readily available?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. There's a pre-compiled JAR file available on the GitHub releases page. For a complete installation guide, though, you'll want to check out their wiki. It's quite comprehensive.
Excellent. And what about contributing to the project? Is the community active?
Oh, absolutely. They encourage contributions through pull requests, adding examples to the wiki, reporting issues, and suggesting improvements. It's a very active and collaborative community. And of course, giving it a star on GitHub is always appreciated.
It sounds like a fantastic resource for iOS and macOS reverse engineering. The combination of Ghidra's power and Malamite's specialized features, plus the LLM integration, makes it a very compelling tool. Thanks for highlighting this.
My pleasure. It's definitely a project to keep an eye on. And remember, folks, You can find the link to the GitHub repository in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a truly groundbreaking collaboration. Apple and SpaceX are teaming up to integrate Starlink satellite internet directly into iPhones. Isn't that amazing?
Absolutely. This is huge. I mean, Apple's already got its own satellite communication system, but adding Starlink opens up a whole new level of global connectivity, right? What are the specifics?
Precisely. The Bloomberg article details how Apple's latest iPhone software update, released just this Monday, secretly includes support for Starlink. They've been quietly testing this with SpaceX for a while, apparently. It's a bit under the radar, but it's a massive development.
So this means users will have a choice between Apple's satellite service and Starlink? That's a pretty big deal for consumers, offering more options and potentially better coverage.
Exactly. More options, potentially better coverage, especially in remote areas where Apple's network might be limited. Think about the implications for emergency services, for example. This could be a lifesaver.
I see, but doesn't this also mean Apple is potentially giving a competitor a foothold in their ecosystem? Isn't there a risk of users preferring Starlink's service?
That's a valid point. It's a strategic risk, no doubt. But it could also be a strategic advantage. By offering Starlink as an option, Apple could attract users who might otherwise choose a different phone entirely because of its superior satellite coverage. It's a calculated gamble, I think.
Interesting. The article also mentions T-Mobile's involvement. What's their role in all this?
Ah, yes. T-Mobile is involved in a limited beta test of the service. They're essentially helping to test the integration and rollout, providing valuable real-world data. It's a smart move on their part, too. Partnering with both Apple and SpaceX gives them a significant advantage in the burgeoning satellite internet market.
So it's a three-way partnership, a kind of tech trifecta, working together to bring satellite internet to the masses via the iPhone. This is going to change the game.
Absolutely. It's a game changer. This collaboration could accelerate the adoption of satellite internet technology, making it more accessible and affordable for everyone. And it's all happening right here, right now, on our iPhones.
It's incredible to think about the possibilities. Imagine having reliable internet access virtually anywhere in the world, directly from your phone. This is the future.
And it's unfolding faster than we ever imagined. This Apple SpaceX T-Mobile partnership is a testament to the power of collaboration and innovation. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We'll keep you updated on this exciting development. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating article by Rob Allen about using UV as a shebang line in your scripts. It's a clever trick for streamlining Python scripting, especially for those handy little automation tools we all love to stash in our ~bin directory, right?
Absolutely. I'm always looking for ways to make my command line scripts more efficient. So what's the core idea behind using UV in the shebang?
The key is leveraging OV's ability to handle inline script metadata. You know, those pesky dependency declarations that can clutter up your code. Instead of managing them separately, UV lets you embed them directly in your script. It's like magic.
Magic indeed. But how does the shebang line itself work? I mean, #usr bin envsuv run script. That looks a bit different from the usual shebangs I'm used to.
Yeah, it's a bit more involved. The S flag is crucial. It tells env to execute the command without interpreting the shebang line itself. So, uv run script becomes the actual command executed, with your script file passed as an argument. Clever, huh?
Very clever. So UV essentially acts as a wrapper, handling dependencies and then executing the Python code within the script as a regular Python file. It bypasses the shebang entirely after the initial execution, right?
Precisely. Once you've made your script executable with command A+X, you can run it directly from the command line. It's a seamless process, automating dependency management and execution in one fell swoop. It's a really elegant solution for keeping your scripts clean and self-contained.
I see. But what about potential downsides? Is there a performance hit, or are there any compatibility issues I should be aware of? Does it work across different operating systems equally well?
That's a great point. While I haven't personally encountered major performance issues, it's worth considering that adding an extra layer of execution, the UV wrapper, might introduce a slight overhead. Compatibility is another factor. You'll need to ensure UV is installed on any system where you intend to run these scripts. Cross-platform compatibility might require some adjustments, depending on how UV is packaged and installed on different OSes.
Good point. So it's a trade-off between convenience and potential overhead. But for small, frequently used scripts, the convenience factor might outweigh the minor performance impact. It's all about weighing the pros and cons for your specific use case, right?
Exactly. It's a powerful technique, but like any tool, it's best used judiciously. For quick, self-contained scripts, it's a winner. But for larger, more complex projects, other dependency management solutions might be more appropriate. It's all about choosing the right tool for the job.
I agree. Thanks for breaking down this interesting approach to shebang usage. It's a neat trick that I'll definitely be experimenting with.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time for more exciting tech discussions. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating development in the world of Llama.cpp, a significant speed boost for WebAssembly, WASM, execution. It's all about leveraging SIMD instructions.
Wow, SIMD and WASM? That's exciting. What kind of performance gains are we talking about?
The pull request, by Xuanson Nguyen, boasts a 2x speed increase. That's a massive improvement for running large language models in the browser.
Incredible! But how did they achieve this? Was it a complex undertaking?
Surprisingly, no. The core code was almost entirely generated by an AI DeepSeek R1, to be precise. Nguyen mainly focused on testing and refining the prompts.
An AI writing the code? That's a game changer. What kind of prompts were used?
The prompts are publicly available. They were iterative, with the AI spending 3 to 5 minutes on each one, carefully crafting the SIMD optimizations for the QXKQ 8K and QX0Q 80. Product functions. It's a testament to the power of these advanced AI models.
So the AI essentially figured out the low-level optimizations? That's mind-blowing. Did they just give it the general goal, or was there more specific guidance?
I think it was a combination. The prompts provided the context and the desired outcome, but the AI figured out the specific implementation details. It's a really interesting example of AI-assisted programming.
Absolutely. This also reminds me of another example Simon Willison shared, where he used DeepSeek R1 to refactor some Python code. He was trying to make a plugin consistent with a different project style.
Right. He used it to rewrite a plugin, mimicking the JSON structure of another, more streamlined plugin. The AI even identified and eliminated a redundant model_map, a solution Willison himself preferred. It shows the AI's ability to not just generate code, but to understand and improve existing code.
It's fascinating to see how these A1I models are starting to tackle complex programming tasks. It's almost like having a highly skilled junior programmer who's incredibly fast and efficient. But I wonder about the maintainability of code generated this way. Is it as clean and readable as human-written code?
That's a valid concern. While the results in this case seem excellent, we need to be mindful of the potential challenges in long-term maintenance and debugging of AI-generated code. More research and best practices are needed in this area.
Definitely. But the potential benefits are huge. This 2x speedup for WASM is a significant leap forward for web-based LLMs. It opens up possibilities for more powerful and responsive applications.
Precisely. And it highlights the potential of AI to not just assist, but to lead in software development. This is just the beginning. We're likely to see even more impressive applications of AI in coding in the future. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating concept, discovery coding. It's a different approach to software development, and it's got me thinking.
Yeah, I saw the article too. It's a pretty radical idea, isn't it? I mean, most of us are taught to plan everything meticulously before writing a single line of code. This flail-away approach sounds chaotic.
Exactly. The author draws a parallel to fiction writing. Some authors outline meticulously, others just start writing and see where the story takes them. Discovery coding is that just start writing approach to programming. You don't plan, you just dive in and let the code guide you.
But isn't that incredibly inefficient? What about debugging? What about maintainability? It seems like a recipe for a tangled mess of code.
That's a great point. And the author acknowledges that. He emphasizes that the end result doesn't have to be messy. The process is about understanding the problem through the act of coding itself. It's about discovering the solution organically, through the feedback the code provides.
So it's iterative, right? You write some code, see what breaks, adjust, repeat. Kind of like test-driven development, but without the upfront tests?
I see it more as exploratory. TDD is structured. You have specific tests in mind. Discovery coding is more about poking and prodding the system, seeing how it reacts. It's about understanding the constraints of the problem before you even think about a solution.
Interesting. The article mentions that this approach avoids the pitfall of relying on familiar solutions. You're not constrained by your existing knowledge. You're letting the problem dictate the solution.
Precisely. It's a fresh perspective. And the author makes a crucial distinction. Discovery coding isn't the same as bottom-up design, he goes. You can still have a top-down architectural approach, but the understanding of the problem comes from the act of coding, not from pre-planning.
So it's about the process of understanding, not the structure of the final product. But wouldn't this approach be difficult to manage in a team environment? How do you coordinate with others if everyone's just flailing away?
That's a valid concern. The article doesn't explicitly address team dynamics, but I imagine it would require a high level of communication and collaboration. Maybe frequent code reviews, pair programming, or a very agile approach would be essential.
And what about tooling? Does the current software development ecosystem support this style of coding?
That's another great question. The author suggests that live programming environments, like those used by Clojure or Smalltalk programmers, are particularly well suited for discovery coding. Tools that allow for on-the-fly visualization and instrumentation would be incredibly helpful.
So it's not about rejecting planning altogether, but about recognizing that for some people, the act of coding itself is the best way to understand the problem. It's about embracing a different way of thinking.
Exactly. The author's main point is that we should accept discovery coding as a valid approach, alongside traditional outlining methods. Not everyone thinks the same way, and there's no one-size-fits-all solution to software development. It's about finding the process that works best for you.
It's a refreshing perspective. Thanks for bringing this to our attention. It certainly gives me something to think about.
You're welcome. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into the exciting news of Pebble's resurrection. It's a story of community, open source, and the enduring appeal of a simple, yet powerful, smartwatch.
Right. I've been following this for a while. The original Pebble was legendary for its battery life, wasn't it? Absolutely unmatched.
Exactly. The core message here is that Eric Mijakovsky, the original founder, is leading a new project to create new Pebble watches. He's leveraging the fact that Google, after acquiring Fitbit, which acquired Pebble, has open-sourced Pebble OS. This is huge.
Open sourcing Pebble OS is a game changer. It means anyone can contribute, modify, and even build new hardware around it. That's incredible community empowerment.
Absolutely. It's a testament to Google's commitment to open source and a fantastic gift to the Pebble community. Think about it. A whole new generation of developers can now build upon this legacy. It's really inspiring.
And the timing is perfect. Smartwatches are still a huge market, but many lack the simplicity and battery life that made Pebble so popular. There's a real niche here for a no-frills, long-lasting device.
You're right. The original Pebble's success was built on its simplicity and that amazing battery life. This new project aims to recapture that magic, adding some new features while staying true to the original vision. I see. Interesting.
But isn't there a risk? The smartwatch market is incredibly competitive now. Will people still want a retro device in this age of super smart, always connected watches? I mean, it's a valid question.
That's a valid concern. However, I think the nostalgia factor, combined with the demand for a less distracting, longer-lasting device, could be a powerful combination. Plus, the open source aspect allows for customization and community involvement, which could attract a dedicated following.
True. The community aspect is key. The original Pebble had a very passionate fan base. This new project seems to be tapping into that existing enthusiasm and building on it. Got it.
Precisely. They're even using the original Pebble OS, which is a huge draw for those who love the original. It's not just about creating a new watch. It's about reviving a community and a legacy. It's pretty cool.
It really is. This whole story is a great example of how open source and community involvement can breathe new life into a product, even years after its initial demise. It's a beautiful thing to witness.
Indeed. And for those listening who want to learn more, you can check out the links in the show notes. There's a blog post explaining the project in more detail, and of course, the GitHub repository for Pebble OS. We'll also link to the sign-up page if you want to get your hands on one of these new Pebble watches. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We'll see you next time.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving deep into Tokenverse, a groundbreaking approach to image personalization. It's incredibly exciting stuff.
I'm eager to hear this. From what I've skimmed, it seems to be about manipulating image generation using text prompts, right? But what makes Tokenverse unique?
Exactly. It uses a pre-trained text-to-image diffusion model, but the clever part is how it handles multi-concept personalization. Most methods struggle with combining multiple elements from different images seamlessly. Tokenverse, however, can handle objects, accessories, materials, pose, and even lighting, all from multiple source images simultaneously. Amazing!
So it's not just swapping a hat from one image onto another. It's about a much more nuanced and integrated approach? That's impressive.
Precisely. It leverages the modulation space within a diffusion model, specifically a DIT model. Think of it like this. The text prompt doesn't just guide the generation, it modulates it, allowing for fine-grained control over specific aspects of the image. They found that this modulation space is surprisingly semantic, allowing for localized control over complex concepts.
Interesting. So how do they actually achieve this localized control? Is it some kind of clever optimization algorithm?
You got it. They use an optimization-based framework. Given an image and a text description, the algorithm finds a distinct direction in the modulation space for each word. These directions become vectors, essentially recipes for adding specific concepts. Then, you can combine these vectors to create entirely new images with customized combinations of features.
So if I understand correctly, they're essentially learning a vector representation for each concept, allowing for additive combination? That's elegant.
Exactly. It's like having individual sliders for each aspect of the image. Want a doll wearing a specific shirt, with a certain type of necklace, and a particular lighting effect? Just adjust the corresponding vectors. It's incredibly flexible. The results they show are quite stunning, by the way. They have examples combining abstract concepts like lighting and pose with object concepts, creating really diverse and creative images.
I see. But doesn't this approach require a massive amount of training data? Or is it leveraging the pre-trained model's knowledge?
That's a great point. It leverages the pre-trained model significantly. The optimization process focuses on learning the adjustments to the existing embeddings, not training the entire model from scratch. This makes it much more efficient and data-friendly. Clever!
So what are the potential applications beyond just generating pretty pictures? The abstract mentions storytelling, but are there other areas where this could be impactful?
Absolutely. Storytelling is a great example. Generating a series of images with consistent characters and settings. But think about applications in fashion design, creating personalized avatars, or even generating training data for other AI models. The possibilities are really vast. The potential for creative applications is huge.
This is truly fascinating. The ability to disentangle and recombine concepts in such a precise manner opens up a whole new world of possibilities in image generation. It's a significant step forward.
It really is. And the best part? The code is coming soon, so we can all start experimenting with this amazing technology. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of Tokenverse. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into Desmos, a platform revolutionizing how we learn and interact with mathematics. It's not just a calculator, it's a whole ecosystem. Amazing!
I've heard of Desmos, but I'm not sure I grasp the full extent of what they offer. Is it primarily for students, or does it have applications for professionals as well?
Oh, it's definitely for everyone. At its core, Desmos provides a beautiful, free online graphing calculator. But it goes way beyond that. They have a strong focus on education, with Desmos Classroom, now part of Amplify, offering hundreds of free, interactive K-12 lessons. Think engaging activities, not just dry textbook problems.
That sounds fantastic. So teachers can use it to create interactive lessons, and students can participate actively? Is it just for geometry, or does it cover other areas of math?
Exactly. And it's not limited to geometry. They've got a 3D calculator, allowing exploration of curves and surfaces in 3 dimensions. Imagine the possibilities for visualizing complex mathematical concepts. They even have a geometry tool, combining the power of their calculator with construction and transformation tools. It's a game changer.
Wow, that's impressive. I'm particularly interested in the 3D calculator. Does it have the same ease of use as the standard graphing calculator?
Yeah, it aims for the same intuitive interface. Desmos is known for its user-friendly design. They've made complex math accessible to a much wider audience, and they even have examples of graphs created using their tools, showcasing the incredible visuals you can achieve.
I see. So it's not just about functionality. It's about making math visually appealing and engaging. That's a crucial aspect, especially for younger learners.
Absolutely. And it's not just for classrooms. Desmos is used in standardized testing, including the SAT, AP exams, and even international assessments like the IBMYP. It's becoming a standard tool in many educational settings.
That's a significant achievement. It speaks volumes about the platform's reliability and acceptance within the educational community. But what about the art contest? I saw something about that.
Oh yes, the Desmos Global Math Art Contest. It's a fantastic initiative showcasing the creative potential of Desmos. They've had some truly stunning entries. Intricate designs, animated short films, all created using the platform's tools. It really highlights the artistic side of mathematics.
That's incredible. It shows how Desmos transcends the traditional view of math as a purely logical subject. It's a testament to their vision of making math accessible, engaging, and even beautiful.
Precisely. It's about fostering a love for math, not just teaching the formulas. And they're constantly expanding, partnering with various organizations, and constantly improving their tools. It's a truly exciting project, and I think it's changing the way people approach mathematics. So that's Desmos for you. A powerful, versatile, and visually stunning platform for all things math.
It's clear Desmos is more than just a calculator. It's a comprehensive math ecosystem. Thanks for shedding light on this amazing platform.
You're welcome. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating discovery that's shaking up the world of astronomy. A fast radio burst, or FRB, detected in a most unexpected location. It's a real head-scratcher.
A head-scratcher, you say? I'm intrigued. What makes this FRB so unusual?
Well, FRBs are these incredibly powerful bursts of radio waves lasting only milliseconds. Scientists generally believe they originate from magnetars, highly magnetized neutron stars, within star-forming galaxies. But this one, FRB 2024-0209A, is different. It's located in the outskirts of a dead elliptical galaxy, billions of light years away, a place where star formation ceased eons ago. It's like finding a newborn baby in a retirement home.
Wow, that's unexpected. So, no magnetar? How did they even detect it with such precision?
That's the amazing part. The Chime telescope, along with its new outrigger arrays, has significantly improved the accuracy of pinpointing FRBs. They've essentially created a super-precise radio telescope network. Think of it like using multiple GPS satellites for pinpoint accuracy. It's a game changer.
So this improved accuracy allowed them to locate FRB 20,240,209A in this ancient galaxy? What are the implications?
Exactly. This discovery challenges our current understanding of FRB origins. It suggests that either magnetars can survive much longer than we thought, or perhaps there's another, yet unknown, mechanism producing these bursts. It's a complete mystery. It's rewriting the textbooks.
It's almost like a cosmic anomaly, right? I mean, this completely throws off the existing models, doesn't it? It's mind-blowing.
Absolutely. It's a major challenge to our existing models. The researchers themselves admit that this finding raises significant questions about how such energetic events can occur in regions where no new stars are forming. It's a huge step forward, though. This improved precision will allow us to study more FRBs with greater accuracy, hopefully revealing more clues about their origins.
So what's next? Are they planning more observations?
Oh, absolutely. They're already working on it. With the new Outrigger array in California now online, they expect to pinpoint an FRB a day. That's a huge leap forward in data collection. It's going to be an exciting time for astronomy.
This is incredible. It really highlights how much we still don't know about the universe. This discovery opens up a whole new avenue of research, doesn't it? It's exhilarating.
Indeed. It's a testament to the power of scientific inquiry and the importance of continued exploration. This unexpected finding is a reminder that the universe is full of surprises, and we're only just beginning to scratch the surface of its mysteries. It's truly awe-inspiring.
Absolutely. Thanks for breaking down this exciting news for us. This is a story that will surely continue to unfold. It's a fascinating development.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Join us tomorrow for another exciting update from the world of technology and science. Goodbye, and keep looking up.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving deep into Mellow, a self-hosted personal music server. It's seriously impressive.
I'm all ears. From what I gather, it's like Plex or Jellyfin, but with a focus on collectors' needs, right? What makes it stand out?
Exactly. It's not just about playing music. It's about curating and experiencing your collection. Think first-class support for music videos, differentiating them from behind-the-scenes stuff. That's huge.
Wow. And what about those B-sides and rare tracks? I always lose those in my library.
Milo highlights them. It shows B-sides directly on the album page and rare tracks on the artist's page. No more lost gems. Plus, it automatically detects features and duets. A nice touch.
Clever. It sounds like it handles album versions and song variations really well too, avoiding duplicates. That's a common problem with other servers.
Absolutely. It understands the concept of releases for albums and tracks for songs. You can have multiple versions of an album, but only the main one shows up in the main browsing. Ingenious.
And the support for different formats? That's a big deal. I've had issues with some servers not handling everything.
Yeah, Mellow uses transcoding, so it handles virtually any audio and video format. It only transcodes if the browser doesn't support the file format directly. It's also very flexible with metadata parsing, using embedded metadata, file names, or both. It even pulls in genres, descriptions, and ratings from MusicBrainz, Genius, Wikipedia, and more.
Impressive. So it's not just a player, it's a whole music management system. But, the setup sounds a bit involved. It mentions needing a clean collection and Docker.
You're right. It does require some technical know-how. You need a well-organized music library, ideally using something like iTunes or Beats to prepare it. And yes, it uses Docker for deployment, so familiarity with that is helpful. But the documentation seems pretty thorough.
I see. So it's not for the completely technically challenged, but for someone comfortable with a bit of command line work and music library organization. It sounds like a dream come true. What about a live demo?
They're working on a public demo, so keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, the GitHub page has plenty of screenshots to give you a good idea of the interface. It's very clean and intuitive.
Definitely worth checking out. The features alone make it stand out from the crowd. The attention to detail, like handling different versions of songs and albums, is really impressive. I'm excited to see how this project develops.
Me too. And remember, you can contribute or report bugs directly on GitHub. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into Mello. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into the fascinating history of Toontown Speed Chat, a tale of innovation, restriction, and the enduring human desire for connection. It's a wild ride.
I'm all ears. What's the core issue here? Is it about censorship in online games for kids?
Exactly. It all started back in 1996 with Disney's attempt to create HercWorld, a multiplayer game based on the Hercules movie. They wanted a completely kid-safe environment, right? No harassment, no foul language, nothing.
Sounds ambitious. But how did they plan to achieve that level of control?
That's where it gets interesting. They initially ruled out open chat, fearing the impossible task of moderation. Their standard was, and I quote, "No kid will be harassed, even if they don't know they are being harassed." Unbelievable.
Wow, that's a high bar. So what was the alternative?
They considered sentence constructors, but even that failed miserably. A 14-year-old boy quickly bypassed the system, creating a rather suggestive sentence using seemingly harmless words. It was hilarious, but also highlighted the futility of such restrictions.
I can imagine. So no chat meant no coordination between players, right? A pretty big limitation for a multiplayer game.
Exactly. But then, during brainstorming about alternative activities, they hit upon something ironic, allowing kids to manipulate objects in the game world. It was accidentally inventing block chat, a way to communicate through object placement.
That's a clever, albeit unintended, consequence. So, HercWorld never happened, but the idea of controlled communication persisted?
You got it. Years later, Disney implemented speed chat in Toontown. It used pre-constructed sentences, contextually relevant phrases, to facilitate communication, a much more refined approach.
But did they completely eliminate the problem of kids finding ways to communicate freely? I mean, kids are resourceful.
No. They added a system of secret codes exchanged outside the game, but even that was circumvented. Players found ways to use object placement in their virtual houses to communicate secret codes, effectively recreating block chat. The ingenuity is astounding.
Amazing! So, the story highlights the inherent limitations of trying to completely control online communication, especially among creative kids. It's a testament to human ingenuity, really.
Precisely. The article concludes with the speed chat corollary. By hook or by crook, customers will always find a way to connect with each other. A powerful statement about the human need for interaction. It's a great reminder for developers and designers to consider the limitations of control and the resilience of human connection. And that's the story of Toontown Speed Chat, a fascinating look at the challenges of creating a safe online environment for kids. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating journey of recreating a beloved Mac application, Delicious Library. It's a story spanning 2 decades, filled with design iterations and a persistent dream. Exciting, right?
Absolutely. I've heard whispers of Delicious Library's legendary status. What makes it so special, and why the obsession with recreating it as a web app?
Well, Delicious Library, even in its original Mac form, was lauded for its unique and tasteful design. Think playful, personal, a stark contrast to today's flatter interfaces. The author loved it so much it became a benchmark in his presentations. But the killer feature, or rather the lack of one, was the absence of a web version. That's the core challenge, the driving force behind this long-term project.
I see. So it's not just about nostalgia, but about bringing a superior design and functionality to a wider audience through the web. What were some of the early attempts?
Oh, there were many. Early attempts included an internal tool called Code Helper at Alipay, which essentially borrowed Delicious Library's UI, but used it for managing internal documents. Then came Book Delicious and Dubon Show, early design concepts for web-based book management. Neither launched, but they paved the way.
Interesting. So it was a gradual evolution. Did any of these projects see the light of day in a different form?
Absolutely. The Book Delicious concept evolved into Catalog.im, a web app for managing ebooks, which even had full-text search, a pretty advanced feature back then. It also had a very similar design to Delicious Library. Unfortunately, it didn't gain much traction, but it was a significant step. He also helped design the Bambook e-reader, shamelessly borrowing the design. And it was a huge success in China.
So a bit of a stealth delicious library homage. That's quite a story. What about more recent attempts?
Yes, even after Catalog.im, the author kept iterating. He created simple web pages for his reading history and music collection, constantly refining his vision. And during the pandemic, he designed Kaihinsen, a concept that expanded beyond books to include games and photos. It's a testament to his dedication.
It sounds like a very personal project, deeply rooted in his passion for design and organization. What's the vision for this final web version?
The vision is ambitious. A fully web-based app, initially managing books, music, movies, and games, with plans to expand import and export features, privacy options, and, crucially, a sustainable subscription model. It's a comprehensive plan, addressing the limitations of previous attempts, but he's also built many things that failed before, so there's some uncertainty.
That's a valid concern. Building a successful product requires more than just a great idea. It needs market validation. Do you think there's a market for a modern, web-based, delicious library?
I think so. The need for a well-designed, cross-platform solution for managing personal collections is definitely there. Many people struggle with organizing their digital lives. A polished, user-friendly web app could fill that gap. But the subscription model might be a sticking point for some. A one-time purchase option might be considered.
That's a good point. Balancing sustainability with user preferences is key. It'll be interesting to see if this long-standing dream finally materializes. This has been a fascinating look into the evolution of a design concept.
Absolutely. It's a story of persistence, innovation, and a deep love for elegant design. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of delicious library. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a fascinating blog post detailing 2 data science projects implemented in the K programming language. It's incredibly efficient and elegant.
I'm really looking forward to this. The K language isn't something I'm super familiar with. What are these projects about?
The first project analyzes the CMU pronouncing dictionary to determine the most common consonants following R and L in English words. This is directly relevant to the author's development of a new shorthand system, Smith shorthand, where the height of certain symbols indicates following consonants. Pretty neat, huh?
Wow, that's a very specific application. How did they approach the problem in K?
The K code is remarkably concise. They first read the dictionary, splitting each line into individual sounds. Then, using some clever array manipulation and Boolean logic, they identify sounds following R or L. Finally, they count the occurrences of each sound and sort them by frequency. The whole thing is, like, 20 lines of code.
Amazing. So what was the result? Did they find to be the most common following consonant?
No. Actually, D was the most frequent consonant following R or L. This is quite insightful for the shorthand system, suggesting that doubly raising the R and L symbols to indicate D would be a highly efficient shorthand convention.
Interesting. I wonder if that holds true across different corpora. Perhaps a larger dataset would yield different results. It's a limitation of the study, right?
You're right to point that out. The dataset used is the CMU pronouncing dictionary, which might not perfectly represent all aspects of English pronunciation. A larger, more diverse corpus could indeed provide a more robust analysis. But for the author's specific purpose, it seems sufficient.
I see. So what's the second project?
The second project delves into cricket statistics. Specifically, it aims to identify cricket bowlers with the best average among those with a similar number of wickets. The author uses a dataset of ICC test cricket bowling figures.
Fascinating. That sounds like a complex statistical problem. How did they tackle it in K?
They cleverly used K's array processing capabilities. First, they filtered the data to include only bowlers with at least 1 wicket. Then, they sorted the bowlers by wickets, descending, and average, ascending. This allowed them to identify the bowler with the best average for each wicket count.
Clever. And what did they find?
They identified several bowlers who had better averages than any other bowler with the same or more wickets. They also explored the distribution of wicket counts, finding the most common counts and the smallest gap in wicket counts among the bowlers in the dataset. The code is, again, surprisingly compact and efficient.
Impressive. It really highlights the power of K for data manipulation. This is a great example of how a concise language can lead to elegant and efficient solutions.
Absolutely. Both projects demonstrate the elegance and efficiency of K for data analysis tasks. It's a language worth exploring for those interested in concise and powerful data manipulation. Thanks for joining us on Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of K and data science. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a truly remarkable story about a Parkinson's patient in Sunderland who's experiencing life-changing results with a new brain implant. It's incredible.
Absolutely, I read the article, and it's amazing. So this isn't just your standard deep brain stimulation, right? What makes this new system so different?
Exactly. It's called adaptive deep brain stimulation, or BrainSense. The key difference is that it's not just delivering electrical signals. It's also actively reading the patient's brain activity. It's like a two-way conversation between the implant and the brain.
Wow, that's a huge leap forward. So the system essentially adjusts the electrical impulses in real time based on what it's detecting from the brain? That's incredibly sophisticated.
Precisely. The article highlights Kevin Hill, the patient. He describes it as being cured, which is a powerful statement. Before the implant, his life was severely impacted by the tremors and other symptoms. He couldn't even go into the kitchen without risking injury because his hands shook so much.
That's heartbreaking. But the article mentions that after the surgery, his tremors stopped instantly. That's just astonishing. I mean, an instant, dramatic improvement?
Yeah, it was. He said he couldn't believe his hand was still. His wife burst into tears. It's a testament to the power of this technology. And now, with the adaptive system, he doesn't even have to go to the hospital for regular reprogramming. The system does it automatically.
So the system learns and adapts to his specific needs over time? That's truly remarkable. It's almost like having a personalized internal neurologist constantly monitoring and adjusting the treatment. But, is there any downside mentioned in the article? Any potential drawbacks?
Well, the article does mention that this is still relatively new. More research is needed to fully assess the long-term benefits compared to standard DBS. But the neurosurgeon, Dr. Hussein, is incredibly optimistic. He believes this will have a huge impact on patients' quality of life. And, seeing the transformation in Mr. Hill's life is pretty compelling evidence.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic development. The article also mentions that about 153,000 people in the UK live with Parkinson's, and that number is expected to grow. This technology could be a game changer for so many people.
It really could be. It's a powerful example of how technology can improve and even transform lives. This is a huge step forward in treating Parkinson's, and it's incredibly exciting to see this kind of innovation. It gives so much hope.
Definitely. It's inspiring to see such positive results. Thanks for sharing this incredible story.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you found this story as fascinating as we did. Have a great day, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of kakistocracy, a word that's been making headlines recently. It's a term with a rich history and a surprisingly relevant meaning in today's political climate. Let's unpack it.
I'm eager to hear this. I've seen the word floating around, but I'm not entirely sure what it means beyond bad government. What's the core definition?
Precisely. At its heart, kakistocracy describes a government ruled by the worst, least qualified, or most unscrupulous individuals. It's a pretty harsh term, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's almost like a dystopian ideal, the antithesis of good governance. Where does the word even come from?
It's got some serious Greek roots. It's a combination of kakistos, meaning worst, and kratos, meaning rule or power. So, literally, rule by the worst. Pretty straightforward, huh?
So it's not just a modern invention then?
Oh no, it's got a surprisingly long history. The earliest known usage dates back to the 17th century, appearing in a sermon, Can you believe it? It's been used throughout history by various commentators to describe governments they deemed particularly corrupt or inept.
Wow, that's quite a pedigree for a word. Any notable historical examples of its application?
Definitely. The article mentions its use to describe various regimes throughout history, including some governments in sub-Saharan Africa, the Yeltsin and Putin eras in Russia, and even some U.S. presidencies. It's been used to describe the Trump administrations, for example, quite frequently.
Interesting. So it's not just a theoretical concept, but a term that's been applied to real-world situations. I see. And it gained a lot of traction recently, right?
Yes, exactly. The word really exploded in popularity in 2017 and again in 2024, partly due to its use by prominent figures like Joy Reid and John Brennan. It even became Word of the Year by The Economist in 2024.
That's incredible. It's fascinating how a word with such ancient roots can become so relevant in contemporary political discourse. It really highlights the enduring nature of certain political problems, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It shows that the struggle against bad governance is, unfortunately, a timeless one. And the fact that it's been used to describe governments across different eras and political systems speaks volumes. It's a powerful word, and its resurgence in popularity shows how relevant the concept of kakistocracy remains.
It's a word that makes you think, doesn't it? It forces us to consider the quality of leadership and the consequences of electing unqualified or corrupt officials. Thanks for shedding light on this.
My pleasure. And that's all the time we have for today's Tech Bytes and News. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today we're diving into a fascinating article from LitHub. It's official. Research has found that libraries make everything better. Get ready to be surprised.
I'm already intrigued. What kind of research are we talking about here? A study, right?
Exactly. A study by the New York Public Library surveyed nearly 2,000 users. They used a positive psychology model called PERMA. I'll explain that later if you're interested. But the results are, overwhelmingly positive.
Overwhelmingly positive? Spill the beans.
Well, 92% felt calm and peaceful after visiting. 92%. 74% said library use helped them cope with the world. Now, 90% said it boosted their love of learning. It's incredible.
Wow. Those are some seriously impressive numbers. But, weren't these self-reported feelings? Could there be a bias?
You're right to question the methodology. It is self-reported, which introduces potential bias. However, the sheer consistency of the positive responses across various metrics is striking. And the fact that the positive effects were even more pronounced in lower-income communities adds another layer of significance.
I see. So it's not just about feeling better, it's about feeling more equipped to handle life's challenges?
Precisely. 89% reported increased appreciation for things they didn't know before, and 77% felt their life's work was more valuable. It's like the library combats existential dread.
Existential dread? That's a bold claim. But the article mentions optimism too, right?
Absolutely. 82% of in-person visitors reported increased optimism about the future. Even 58% of e-only users felt that boost. Amazing, considering how often we associate the internet with negativity.
That's unexpected. But it goes beyond individual benefits, doesn't it? The article also highlights community aspects.
Yes. The study showed that libraries foster a sense of community. 75% reported increased empathy, 72% felt more connected to others, and 66% felt seen and heard. And get this, 59% felt like the library helped them connect with people who cared about them.
That's incredibly heartwarming. The article even included some quotes from library users, right?
Oh yes. The quotes are amazing. People describe the library as a touchstone, a place to rely on, and even a space where I can just be me. One person said, "Books transport me," which I thought was beautifully poetic.
I'm getting emotional just hearing this. It really highlights the library's role as more than just a repository of books. It's a community hub, a sanctuary, a source of hope.
Exactly. The study's findings strongly support the idea that libraries are vital community resources, especially for lower-income areas. It's a powerful argument for continued funding and support. And that's why this article is so important.
Absolutely. It's a reminder of the profound, positive impact libraries have on individuals and communities. Thanks for sharing this uplifting news.
My pleasure. And thank you for listening to Tech Bytes and News. We hope you enjoyed this insightful look at the power of libraries. Have a great day, and keep reading.
Bye-bye.
Welcome to Tech Bytes and News, your daily roundup of articles featured in Hacker News. Today, we're diving into a groundbreaking development in materials science. Nano-architected materials that are as strong as steel but as light as foam. Incredible, right?
Absolutely. This sounds like a game changer. So how did they achieve this seemingly impossible combination of properties?
It's a beautiful blend of machine learning and advanced 3D printing. Researchers at the University of Toronto used machine learning algorithms to design these materials. They're essentially tiny, intricately designed structures. Nanolattices, made of carbon. Think of it like building a bridge, but at a nanoscale, using triangles for optimal strength.
So the smaller is stronger effect is key here?
Exactly. But the challenge was stress concentrations at the sharp corners of these nanostructures. That's where the machine learning comes in. The algorithm, a multi-objective Bayesian optimization, learned to predict optimal geometries that minimize stress and maximize strength-to-weight ratio. It's mind-blowing.
And how many data points did it need to learn this? I'm curious about the data efficiency.
Only 400 data points. That's astonishingly efficient compared to other algorithms that might need tens of thousands. This efficiency is crucial because generating high-quality data from finite element analysis is resource-intensive.
So they designed it, but how did they actually make it?
Two-photon polymerization 3D printing. This additive manufacturing technique allows them to print these complex structures at the micro and nanoscale. They created carbon nanolattices with more than double the strength of existing designs. We're talking about a material 5 times stronger than titanium.
Wow, that's impressive. What are the potential applications?
Huge potential. Think aerospace, lighter planes, helicopters, and spacecraft, leading to significant fuel savings. They estimate up to 80 liters of fuel saved per year for every kilogram of titanium replaced on a plane. A massive reduction in the carbon footprint of air travel?
That's a compelling argument for sustainability. But what about scalability and cost? Is this just a lab curiosity?
That's a great point. The researchers acknowledge that scaling up production for cost-effective macroscale components is a key next step, but the potential is so significant that further research and development in this area seem almost guaranteed.
Absolutely. This is a truly exciting development. It's a testament to the power of interdisciplinary collaboration, combining materials, science, machine learning, and advanced manufacturing techniques.
Precisely. This project involved researchers from multiple universities and disciplines, highlighting the importance of collaborative efforts in pushing the boundaries of scientific innovation. And remember, this is just the beginning. They're already looking at even lower density designs while maintaining high strength and stiffness. The future of materials science is incredibly bright.
Indeed. Thanks for breaking down this fascinating research for us.
My pleasure. And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in to Tech Bytes and News. We'll catch you next time with more exciting updates from the world of technology. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to the daily roundup of Tech Bytes and News. See you again tomorrow. Goodbye.